to attend this session on holistic progress card. I hope everybody is aware of what it means, and at least you must have heard about it. And we will today dissect the entire procedure of how the holistic progress card works and how into existence and how it's used in different levels, that is, from primary onwards to the secondary section. All right, so let us start off without much delay. Before I session, there is one activity that we will begin with. Okay, so there is a question that I will be asking you, and when I say 3, 2, 1, bomb, that is when you will write your answers in the chat box in one word. Okay, and that is how we will be proceeding with this session. So the question is, do you remember the time when you were young, when you were in school, and it was your report card day, and you had received your report card? What was the feeling that you had at that moment? At least one of the years you must be remembering. Think about it. How did you feel about it? So the question is, on receiving your terminal examination grades as a young child, what was your feeling? Okay. When I say, bomb, that is when you will be writing down in the chat box, 3, 2, 1, bomb. Let me see what each one of you have to say about it. Okay, so I can see a lot of words. Fear, okay, aesthetic feeling, okay, very happy and excited to know my scorecard. Fear, anxious, nervous, sometimes happy, some fear, very normal expressions. Anybody else who would want to say this? Every times report has come, and we had some kind of feeling inside ourselves, right? All of us. So let me go back to the slide, and can we relate to this? Just a moment. Just give me a moment. There is some glitch which is happening here. Somebody's microphone yourselves on mute, because when you talk or some kind of sound is heard, there is a problem, and then we are not able to, listen to each other. So, do you think there are some words that are put in here? Are these similar to our thoughts? Hopelessness, anxiety, happiness, euphoria, pride, relief, anger, panic, devastation, joy, resignation, stress, fear, regret, optimism, anger, sometimes embarrassment, shame, sadness, disappointment. Do you think these are the words that that comes into your mind? Yes, most of us, in fact, all of us, go through these feelings when our report cards come in. At least when we were young, this was the status, right? So we will begin with the set. Why I collected these informations, to know that until some time back, report cards implement so. Let us first understand the NEP 2020 mandate and strategic goals, why HPC came into existence. See, When we talk about NEP 2020, all of you are aware of that, right? You must have heard a little bit about it. National Education Policy has brought a lot of revision in education, and these reforms in the educational landscape is child friendly. Okay, so when we talk about children, these are the four areas, not only children, when we talk about education, these are the four areas that we actually consider. One is universal access, curriculum transformation, teacher empowerment, and governance and equity. Let us understand it quickly in a little more words. It talks about universe access, school for everyone. Every child in our country is lucky enough to have this in his hands, this power in his hands. Right? Available. We know about right to education part, right? So right to education says children have the right to themselves educated. Now that is one thing. Of course, there are a lot of reasons behind it. I'm not going into it because then we'll stray away. The universal access for everyone is something that we talk about. Inclusive classrooms, right? Where or whether they
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. Your voice is cracking. It is breaking in between. We're not able to hear properly.
is it for everyone?
Yes, ma'am, the voice is breaking.
Is it? Okay, let me just check because there is some electricity issue here. Maybe that is the reason. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am,
Yes,
you are audible now, but
Clear?
yeah,
Is it clear now?
yeah, ma'am, now we can hear. I think all of us can hear. I can say, I can hear you.
Okay, fine. Maybe, there was some electricity issue, so probably when it came back, I did not realize. All right, okay. So as I said, let me put it again in the, okay. So as I said, was about inclusive, where we're talking with children with ability or disability background, learning speed. Every child has to be part of the class. We cannot say that he cannot be part of my class because he has got this problem. This is no more accepted, right? Next thing is closing the digital divide. Earlier, everything was manual. Learning was manual. Teaching was manual. We were only utilizing books. Actually, with this in by being in this digital world, we have so much of access to technology, right? Curriculum transformation, learning for life. The learning is completely, we are doing away with it. We don't expect children to memorize things. See, I have always been telling teachers that asking a definition in the examination is only asking them to remember the technical part of what you have taught, right? But when you tell them to apply the knowledge that they have learned by, asking them to use it in some example, they are actually making use of what they have learned, right? So, instead of asking to memorize a definition, we ask, can you do the task? It's about mastery and not just scores. We all children across the world, it is not their academic scores alone that has made them successful. Lot of children, lot of us, in fact, who have not been very bright academically are very successful teachers also, right? So it is not about marks all the time. It's about the content mastery that we give the children. Now, critical thinking, why and how kind of questions, if children are able to ask and you as teachers are able to answer those questions, then you are helping them to be critical thinkers, right? Then next thing is multilingualism. NEP 2020 has brought about a big change where you can teach children in the language that they understand. It is not necessary that you have to speak only in English or you have to teach only in the language the book is written in. Okay, any language that helps them to understand. So like in the north part of India, if you are a Hindi speaking state like Uttar Pradesh, teachers can in fact teach in Hindi using the terms properly in English. And I always say that while you are explaining things in Hindi, you must also make sure that you are translating it back in English, because it's important that you translate it back, because ultimately they're going to write in English. Okay, so this is very important. So next thing is teacher empowerment. All of us need to continuously develop professionally, right? We need to grow. We are supposed to be learning continuously. Lifelong learning is what a teacher is supposed to follow, right? So everything that is changing has to be adapted by the learnings that you do. So, having number of degrees is not that makes you a better teacher. A teacher is the best when she or he makes sure that the latest information is updated in her or his own mind and teaching, as well as while you're teaching in the classroom. Okay, next thing is, when you are recruiting teachers in the schools, it is important that you take passionate teachers. I always say that I don't think that all teachers with highest of marks are the best teachers, because okay, they have done well, their content may be good, but if a teacher is willing to learn, see, all the teachers who have taken up this profession now, that they are teachers, must make sure that they learn and make their teaching more professional. They make sure that they speak sense in the class and they don't mess up with the content that they're teaching in the class. And since every teacher who goes to the classroom is basically a graduate or a postgraduate with additional qualifications, I wouldn't say that a school level teaching cannot be enhanced by reading the textbooks and extra informations by you, right? In this, that the teaching profession has got respect in the sense they are given more awareness part from the various organizations, from government. When you're talking about the 50 hours of learning or training, it is basically to make sure that whatever a teacher has with is given to be part. Governance and equity, fair and smart systems, regulations, rules and regulations. Like we are part of CBSE, there is a light but tight regulation, right? It is important that when you're running a school also, instead of hundreds of confusing rules, there should be few clear, smart rules for everyone. It is for teachers as well as students. Okay, National Research Foundation, we need to keep testing what works and what doesn't work. This is important because if you don't involve yourself in research work, your information that you're carrying with you may get outdated, right? Gender and social inclusion, we are part of schools where we have children or genders. And if you're aware, NEP also says that besides boys and girls, we are also supposed to give opportunity to the gender to get educated. So this is still not taken up on serious notes by any educational institutions to a level where they can feel free to be part of schools. Now let's understand the difference between the old way of assessing students, the traditional report cards, and how it is the HPC that we will be talking about. Okay, before that, let us understand that HPC has been brought in by PARAKH. PARAKH is the National Assessment body, and keeping NEP 2020 goals in mind, they have transformed the assessment pattern in India for the development of students, the betterment of students, right? So what they have done is with HPC in place, they have tried to standardize the various report card system which has been practiced across the country. They also tried to bring in they have to eliminate the differences that various boards are presenting. That is also one more thing. And again, the modernized way of assessment is more or less using the digital portal. Okay, and they are also trying to equip teachers with the tools to shift from judgmental grading to competency-based assessment. Now, I'll explain that what is judgmental grading and what is competency-based assessment during the session. So, when we talk about traditional assessment, are the traditional report cards obsolete? What do you think, dear teachers? Can put it down in the chat box. Do you think the traditional the earlier way of testing the students is obsolete now? Do you think so? Can put it down in the chat box. If yes, why do you think so? Do you think? I can't. All right. All right. So as I said, because it's because the projects only marks. Yes, yes, very, very true. हम लोग जब पढ़ रहे थे, हम लोग जब स्कूल में थे, हमसे हमारे पेरेंट्स की एक्सपेक्टेशन क्या थी? What was the expectation of our parents while we were in school? Do you think it was anything except marks? Is the voice still cracking, or are you able to hear me? Please put it down in the chat box, because I'm not able to judge that if you're able to hear me or not. Are you able to hear me? You can unmute and answer yes. Okay, 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 fine, fine, fine. So as I said, is somebody trying to answer the question that I asked you? The traditional report card system is purely obsolete now because it was only testing your rote memory earlier. आपने रट्टा लगा के जो क्लास में एग्जाम पेपर में लिख दिया, you were judged on the basis of whatever you have written as taught by the teacher, and there were times in a when was exactly how we were supposed to write, not a word here and there. That was when a person got full marks, right? Secondly, children, when they get their answer copies or when they see the answer papers, what is the first thing that they notice? The first thing that they notice is the number of mistakes that has been circled by the teachers, right? Focuses on what kids did wrong with red pens, breeding chronic school anxiety. So remember that, finding faults is not assessment is all about. Assessment is about trying to find out whether the child has understood the concept that you're trying to teach at the classroom. Okay. Secondly, earlier traditional system also isolated the stakeholders. What stakeholders? Stakeholders are your students, your parents. So at the end of the examination, the parents were called for the open house and they only saw the parents throughout. Sometimes at the end of the year, the parent would come to know the child so that he has failed, right? So this this is something. So now look at this. These were the problems. These are the problems that you see with a traditional report. The data, the feedback is very, very big. Why is it? Because aids arrive much after examination has been conducted. Teachers, teachers use this at so, like, first term examination result comes after, say, a month. By then, the teacher has already started teaching the next part. And because of that, whatever mistake a child had made in the first term remains like that, and you put some more learning part on his head, right? So, this is lagging data. Then, one-dimensional reduces a student's entire intelligence and hard work into a single abstract letter, grades that we call as A plus, A minus, B plus. You can't be using simple alphabets for judging a child's learning, right? A single grade mark, masks specific strengths, weaknesses, and unique learning. What is the difference between A plus and A? It is very, very minor difference sometimes that we give as reasons for not scoring better than the other person. Then you have the systemic stress level. Anxiety is triggered, because it focuses heavily on the finals. Only marks, right? And because only marks is expected, then again, the memorization part comes into picture. And when memorization part comes into picture, what happens? Children are demotivated to learn because it is not learning, it is marking up, which is only a boring activity for students, right? Data silos, what happens is, the traditional report card relies only on the teacher's test scores while ignoring outside factors. That particular examination where the child has written a wrong answer determines his understanding about the topic. So which may not be right. The child must have got confused, the child must have forgotten, the child must have, not read the chapter well or not understood for that factor. So, these are things which are missed out completely. And the other perspectives like, students' self-reflection is missing, peer teamwork and parental insight is completely out of place in the traditional report card. And there is a fixed mindset that people follow, wherein there is a permanent labeling given on a child. तुम तो कभी पढ़ ही नहीं सकते, तुम्हारे तो नंबर आ ही नहीं सकते, तुम ऐसे ही हो. This is the kind of language we put on the children. Okay, and the demotivated child is not interested to go ahead because nothing to look forward to, because it will be only marks which will determine his performance. Or right. So, growth tracking is there, punishes early mistakes instead of rewarding. अगर एक भी जगह पे दिखाई है तो वो उसकी प्रीवियस लो वर्क से कनेक्ट होता ही नहीं है. What has been seen. So to replace all things, holistic report progress card has come into picture, which says the holistic progress card is designed to provide a comprehensive evaluation of a child's academic, personal, and extracurricular progress all together. See, this is where now when we talk about HPC in the recent past, we have been taking care of a lot of these factors. But look at it, if you see the 10th standard report, there are certain subjects which are internally supposed to give them, and some of the schools, it is ABC as the first. There is no checking about how much the person it is simply awarding them the grades which are not at all relatable. Sometimes you will see that a child is getting a bad grade because he is not good in academics. This is not the right thing to do. This HPC mandate connecting policy to students. So NEP 2020 had already very clearly said that you have to shift from rote learning to critical thinking and collaboration. What is critical thinking? You're giving them how, why kind of questions, and collaboration is when the children are working together. Okay, it is a group, more of rather than individual activities. And it has to be competency based education. Very, very important. Why competency based? Because there has to be a reason for learning what you're taught. I'll give you examples in the coming slides, and you will understand the difference how we have been doing and what can be done. Okay. And it prioritizes formative assessments over high stake testing. Now, here, you are testing the child in many ways. It is not always a pen paper test or, mugging up and answering in the examination. There are many ways in which a child can be tested. The difference now you see, it recognizes diverse talents beyond just academics. Child is not labeled brilliant only with academics, but also wherever he is good at. Now, wherever is he's that also has one more category to it, which talks about your own life skills or social skills. Because in your life, social skills and life skills is what matters. When you go for work, if you do not adjust in your workplace, it is not your report card, your marks, or your scores, which it is. So now HPC is also checking on kind of this displayed by various situations when he's in the class, when he's outside, when he's with his teachers, when he's with his parents, when he's this kind of behavior that is being, is he understanding what kind of behavioral requirement is there, and then HPC also provides continuous growth oriented feedback. Time to time there is a feedback giving, time to time on where he is moving. The report card is not determined by one teacher alone. It is by teachers, peer group, your friends, and other faculty members also. Okay. It fosters student agency. What is the meaning of student agency? It is learner centric. It is based on a child's, we are putting the child to make sure that it is his way that we are trying to teach. There's a lot of reflection and so that is done. Now look here, when you're talking about unleashing potential, HPC, NEP together, assessment, it talks about diverse talents recognized, how lifelong learning is promoted. When you concept in a way, understand not through your textual information, but say by an example, real example or some activity, it is going to remain in his head for his life, and that is for lifelong learning. Okay, like learning of a concept. And how much to know more, that is where you promote the lifelong learning. Okay, continuous constructive feedback, the kind of language you use in a report card is different. I will show you that also. Fosters student agency and goal setting. That, like, we put, make everything child centric, student centric, learner centric. Learning, academic achievers only. Now in HPC, we're looking at 360-degree well-rounded individuals. Need to understand what it means. So, and there is multi-dimensional reporting. It is not just the teacher, it is a peer group, and parent also part. And there is a corner. And skills. Okay. So the core philosophy of HPC is 360-degree holistic view, moves beyond just the ways to capture the whole child, talent, character, and intellectual combined together. So when it goes to this, he has a lot of things he can on his scores. It is also the life building, interpersonal relationship that he's supposed to manage, that he learns at the right age. He's also learning at the right time about the various options for him in the future. That is, options in the beginning. It's from the lower class. CBSE skill subjects from grade 6 onwards. What is the reason behind it? The reason behind it is giving exposure to the child in the beginning. AI का इंफॉर्मेशन देते हो या इंफॉर्मेशन या डिफरेंट जो भी सब्जेक्ट्स आपने देखे होंगे जो it is to make sure that he is getting exposed to them. It is not that नौकरी करनी, उसको नौकरी नहीं करनी है, बट उसको समझ आ जाती है उसी लेवल से कि ये सब्जेक्ट मेरे फ्यूचर के लिए किस तरह से यूज हो सकता है. सो एट डिफरेंट लेवल्स वो जो स्किल सब्जेक्ट्स हम लोग इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं 10th 9th 10th 8th at different age groups, it is basically to give them understanding. And I always say that grade 8 में हमें करियर ऑप्शंस के बारे में बच्चों को बताना और करियर काउंसलिंग जो करनी है 10th to 12th के बीच में करना जरूरी है.
Sorry, Rekha ma'am, sorry to interrupt you. I
Yeah.
think your voice is not coming clear, actually.
Still cracking.
Yes.
Oh God. There's some electricity issue going on. Probably that is why the sound is not clear. I have tried. I mean, the net is perfectly working here, so I don't know why it is not clear. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear, but it's still. I think if you once log out of the meeting and rejoin,
I'll do that. Just give me a moment. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it clear?
Yes, now it's perfect.
Okay. I'm so sorry. All right. So as I talked about, where was I? Okay. So the core philosophy when we talk about HPC, it is about how holistically we view a child's performance right from the time he enters the school to the time he gets out of the school and goes into a professional level. Everything matters because the kind of exposure you give the children at the early age is what they carry with them. So as I told you, in the secondary section level, we make sure that children are also getting exposed to various options that are available for them in the future. So it is not, if you've seen now, the children are not forced to study science, commerce or humanities purely with the subjects that were earlier, given to
them. A child is free to take up any subject of his choice and learn it, because there is a scope for every subject that he takes up, right? Whether it is a science-based subject or a humanities-based subject, whatever he's good at is what they learn. As I told you very clearly that, the focus is on quality. The focus is on making sure that the child is enjoying his education that is being given in the school, and not just forced to study the subjects that is available around him. The HPC is like a movie of growth for them, and it keeps showing you the different stages of the child's progress. It is showing what all he's good at rather than what he's not good at. So this is where the focus is all about. And next thing about holistic report card is, there is a digital evidence. Though you can have a physical copy of the report card, but there is also a soft copy available for the child for his future. It can be checked at any point of time. Okay, so this is what it is about. Let us understand what is the meaning of the 360-degree matrix that we were talking about. Three things that we focus on, which takes care of everything: cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. Very, very in simple language, cognitive domain is all about your thinking process. So your critical thinking, your logical patterns, your multidisciplinary knowledge, maths के साथ हम English कैसे पढ़ सकते हैं, या हिंदी के साथ हम science कैसे correlate कर सकते हैं. This is all your to do with your mind. Affective is when you use your heart. So all the feelings, all the support system that you create during your learning process, your own way of looking at things. So self-regulation, empathy, group work mechanics, positive peer relationships. These are things which come under affective domain. And psychomotor domain, when you're using your, motor skills, artistic expression, sensory integration, and body hygiene, everything. So even the way you present yourself is part of your psychomotor domain. So if a child is very, very brilliant, he gets 100 on 100 in all subjects, but cannot, present himself confidently in front of people, that is where that missing area is. That is where he needs help. So it is just not academics which matters. It is also the way you present yourself, the way you deal with people relationship, people management. All these things also come into place. Now see here, when we talk about critical thinking, are you able to analyze the data that is given to you? So like, for example, COVID था, COVID के time पे कितने लोग, lost their jobs versus कितने लोग continued to work. If you do that data analysis, you will come to know the reasons behind it also. So that is where your brain has to work in a way where you are analyzing things. Logical patterns, when you are solving sequence and flow problems, and multidisciplinary, as I said, when you are correlating things with others. It can be within the subject, it can be outside the subjects also. Affective domain, self-regulation. Are you able to control your emotions under stress? Can you manage your anger? Can you control your anger and speak without getting agitated? This is also important. So a brilliant kid can also be a very, very aggressive person also. So here your affective domain also comes into picture. Empathy, are you able to put yourself in the shoes of others and think for them? Instead of you imposing your points on others, are you able to think for others? And empathy will help you to be well connected with the people you are working with, within your school, even when you get out of your school. Positive peer relationship, friendship is not all about, saying things that others like. It is also about helping in need, okay, and genuinely helping in need. Genuine help is when you are extending support to a child who may not understand what the teacher says, but you are able to make him understand in a simpler way, helping him to, speak when he's unable to articulate his words, support him, give him that confidence. So all these are part of peer relationships. Psychomotor domain, where fine motor skills, typing or intricate device assembly, usage of computer or coding, all these things, working with AI, lot of brain come hand, your fine motor development is required for it. Artistic expression, not only drawing and painting, but also using the words in the right manner. Sensory integration, where you are able to coordinate well with what you have been taught to what you are supposed to do. Okay, now look at these two report cards. After talking so much about the pros and cons of the traditional report card, see what is the report card, the traditional report card trying to show you. The traditional report card gives you the scores. The traditional report card gives you the ranks. Okay, and teacher comments student is performing adequately, needs to focus in class, more in class. Look at the term that is being used as a comment. Now, in holistic progress card, the difference is when the report card is given, you are breaking the competencies and showing it to the child that this is the area that you're very good at, and these are the places where you can work and reach, right? So, problem solving, you are excellent at it. Data analyzing, you've mastered it, but you're still reaching there. Collaboration, maybe you're just developing, right? So students self-reflection is, I'm proud of how I use charts in my project. Peer feedback, Rahul helped me understand the fractions. Parents observation, we see him applying math concepts during cooking. So these are the different observations that you see other than marks, right? Marks don't play a big role here at all. What plays a big role is your concept that you are using in a different manner. Now let us see the differences. Evaluation features, traditional report card and a holistic progress card. How does it? Now, when the students input in a traditional report card, it is absolutely zero voice or self-rating. There is no scope. A child cannot assess himself in a traditional report card. He has no voice in what is being given in his report card. Whereas in a holistic report card, it is a structured self-reflection scale. You are given to understand yourself, where do you stand. There is a peer evaluation. In traditional report card, it was a competitive spirit that was given to the child, and there was a lot of comparison that would happen. But here in holistic progress card, when you're following that, there is a cooperative group work review that is done. It is not just your work. It is the entire group, how he performed along with the group, which matters. So what happens is, if there is a bright kid, he's pushing other four to reach that level so that together they can get a better review. Okay, parents role is, he's a muted observer because he just comes for the PTM and he goes back and he's just given the feedback of the teacher whichever way he or she feels. Whereas holistic report card, here the parent is also an active home value observer, because there will be lot of situations given for the parents to analyze and respond. They also observe how the child is behaving in a given situation. Okay, so the assessment evaluation, moving from judging to understanding. Now, this is where you need to understand that as teachers, we were only judging children. Marks, ranks, grades, high stakes summative examination. You were giving them very tough questions, or, long answers and short answers and all those, but we were trying to make it easy by giving them objective type of questions also. And then the feedback back was then, earlier it was marks. And when marks were felt to be very dangerous for children, it turned to grades. So those single alphabets, A plus, A minus, were the way that we were, testing them. Then academic subjects alone only, the scope was only academics. We were not bothered about what was happening other than in the classroom and the textbook and what you have taught. Engagement, occasional parent-teacher meeting, and we would say 85% in math, A+ in English. This is how you would talk about percentage and grades. This is how. Now, in holistic report card, the focus is shifted to your skills, behavior, and growth, continuous formative learning, personalized and descriptive feedback. If you see the HPC now, see the format of HPCs available online. You can check on NCERT, website. Everything is very clearly given. It also shows you how you can fill it. Okay, to that extent, it is self-explanatory. And the scope is more on 21st century skills. When we talk about 21st century skills, what all come into picture? We talk about all the life skills. We talk about collaboration, creative, way of writing, all these possible things that would make a child very, very involved, right? And engagement is 360 degrees because the students are involved, the peer group is involved, the parents are involved, and the teachers are involved, right? And progress in teamwork, critical thinking, and ethical empathy, all these we talk about. Okay, so now look at the core pillars, why it matters. It combines academics, behavior, skills, and values. Now, earlier, if the child was misbehaving in the classroom, it was a complaint that was lodged, right? आपका बच्चा ऐसे करता है, आपका बच्चा, बहुत misbehave करता है, इसलिए उसको मैंने class से बाहर निकाल दिया. All these things were happening. Okay, it used qualitative remarks, rubrics, and self-evaluation methods, and it was, it was an ongoing evaluation though, but again, very, very subjective, right? And digital platforms were used only to maintain records. And if you know that, in spite of using ERP and everything, result making was a task because, the manipulation in marks, if the child was failing, grace dena hai ki nahi dena hai, usko class mein, agle class mein bina, CBSE said, fail nahi karna hai. So there is no criteria to retain them back. And if you're retaining them back, is it helping them to, grow? This was the problem. But, with HPC, as I said, it is a 360-degree portrait of the child, not just a score sheet. It replaces A+ with meaningful descriptions and listening to the student. How does a child feel? You are also asking the child about how his feelings are when he is learning in the classroom. And as I said, it's a feature-length movie of their year, not a single snapshot photograph. रिपोर्ट कार्ड earlier was a single snapshot photograph. आपने निकाल दिया, दे दिया, पेरेंट लेके गया, घर में जाकर उनको डांट लगा दिया, खत्म हो गया, second term आया, repetition of what was happening. And here a digital locker where all evidences lives securely is something that we are catering to. Now, let us see, when we talk about 360-degree learning, digital portfolios, as I said, it is available. You can track your project, artwork and assignment over a period of time because that is how it is preserved. Okay. And multi-source assessment, when I told you teacher, self and peer, rubric and competency checklists. Competency is given a lot of importance. I will show you how you can change the regular way of asking question with a competency-based way of asking questions. And classroom observations changed from your regular way of attacking a child with how much I can deduct marks to how much can I help him to grow more. Okay. Now, see, these are the different stages that we are talking about. NEP 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. It is important to understand because the HPC is different for each stage. Okay. So foundational stage, age 3 to 8 covers 3 years, preschool, 2 years of primary school, that is grade 1 and 2. Preparatory stage, age 8 to 11 covers grades 3 to 5, and middle school 11 to 14, 6 to 8, secondary stage 14 to 18, where you're talking about 9th to 12th standard students. Okay, now we are going to first look at quickly, I have tried to squeeze in as much as I can. Some parts of the report cards I've taken so that you can see what all is part of it. So foundational stage focuses purely on play-based and activity-based learning, though lot of it has been was being done in classes, but then making the child forcibly write, making the parents anxious with whatever was pushed into a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old was evident. Okay, so look at this. This is the holistic report card for the foundational stage. All about me, a glimpse of myself. This is being filled by the child. My name is, things I like, I live in. All these things are looked into, and with the help of the child, it is being filled. Okay. Competencies, here we are talking about different curriculum goals that are focused on how the child develops habits in the classroom, or his observations, or his flexibility while movement, or his emotional intelligence. All these things are so there are a lot of different competencies that are shown here. This is available online. You can always open it and check it. Then there is a profile by the teacher. There is a feedback from the parents' end. See what it says. My child enjoys participating in. My child can be supported for. So lot of things, whatever he's good at or whatever he is, he requires support and can be put into record by the parent also, the observations that he makes at home, and whether that observation is working out in the classroom. So together the parent and the teacher are working together to make sure the child progresses well. Okay, learner's portfolio, then holistic report card. Again, here 3 levels are being talked about: beginner level, progressing level, and proficient level. I'll show you this in the coming slides more. See here, it is paper-based HPC as well as digital-based. Okay, so this is the content of the report card. All about me, a glimpse about myself, a glimpse about my family, checklist, observation of competencies, learner's profile by the teacher, parents' feedback, self-assessment, and peer assessment. Now, here the peer assessment in the lower level is very simple. When a child does something for the other child, that is taken as his support for him. Sometimes वो block से खेल रहा है, वो लगा नहीं पा रहा है, another child comes and helps him out. That is the observation which is made, that he is able to do it himself as well as he's able to help the other child to do it. So this is the kind of observation which is recorded, and with the progress in age, whether it is continued or not is also recorded. Okay, so continuous assessment, support strategy, where parental support is there, support from the peer group is there. Okay, and then we are also talking about the progress being reported in the card in which shows the developmental progress of the child. Okay, and self-assessment is very, very important. So 3 levels where the child is learning is naye kadam, badhte kadam, uthte kadam. So sweetly put up. It says that at every level you are you are a beginner. So child exploring the concept, any concept with the help of somebody, with constant guidance, he's able to do. He's not able to do it himself, but जब आप guide करते हो तो वो कर लेता है, तो वो beginner level हो जाता है. जब proficient कब होता है, वो अपने आप करने लगता है. And advanced level is when the child is able to do something new along with what he already knew. So though these are the same things in every level, but at a primary level or a secondary level, there is a lot of difference. The levels are different. Okay, ऐसे ही preparatory level में भी है. So application here, the difference is the application of languages, mathematics comes into place, and then then you have other subjects also coming to picture. Here the assessments become a little more, the level is higher. तो इनके रिपोर्ट कार्ड में क्या है, जनरल प्रोफाइल है. The general profile, आपने देखा होगा, a PAR ID is very important now. This is again an ID which will remain constant for the time the child is in the school. Okay, so languages, maths, EVS, art, and everything. Again, here they have self-assessment, peer assessment, and parent feedback. Evaluation of teamwork, emotional regulation, physical fitness, hygiene, all these things, and qualitative feedback instead of quantitative feedback. Numbers, marks nahi hai. You're telling them how much they are able to progress. So that is, again, see the report card. These are some of the pages of the report card of the preparatory level. See how the peer feedback is. My friend can talk about how she feels when she's happy, confident, upset, or angry. My friend can understand how his friend feels. Okay, my friend can help others make up after a fight. So these are all skills that are required. See, जो हम लोग ना बड़े लोगों के साथ करते हैं conflict resolution, आप ये conflict resolution बच्चों को छोटे में ही सिखा रहे हैं, and you are appreciating it that you are able to resolve it without increasing the fight. Okay, see, your child matters, your peer feedback, okay, and then teachers feedback, and how do I feel at school? Look at the various things. And again here, beginner level, proficient level, and advanced level, where again the child is just sitting, setting foot on their learning journey, discovering basic concepts, and actively requiring guided step-by-step assistance is the beginner level. And now that he has more subjects in hand, this is very important, that where is he needing more support. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर बच्चे को नहीं समझ में आया तो आपने उसको 0 देके बिठा दिया. आप उसको बिगिनर लेवल से प्रोफिशिएंट लेवल पे लाने के लिए डिफरेंट प्रोसेस को यूज कर रहे हो. सो इट इज नॉट a comparison of two children, it is a comparison of his performance in the first assessment that you carried out to the next assessment that you're carrying out. So this is where the child is improving from the first test to the other test, and you are hand holding wherever is required. You're taking support of the peer, you're taking support of the other teachers, you're taking support of the counselor, you're taking support of the parent also here. Okay, and when the child reaches the advanced level is when he's able to apply the concept that you've taught them in the classroom in real life situations. Okay, so see, this is how. And here, see, the difference is there is a credit that they are earning here, aligned with common national credit framework for formal schooling. So these are things that are mapped with grade 3, 4, and 5 also. 360-degree feedback, you've understood. Teacher evaluation, peer feedback, parent or caregiver input. Why we say caregiver? Because sometimes it is not the parent who's teaching the child, it's the tuition teacher. So sometimes we take help of them also, and their self-reflection also. Okay, and emotional intelligence, collaboration with the team. Are they, empathetic? Are they able to, control their anger when it is required? Are they developing well physically? Are they fine and gross motor skills? Good. Are they sensorial perception? Good. Are they able to think critically? Are they having a good conceptual understanding? These are the things that are tested. Okay, and this is where again beginner, progressing, and proficient, as I told you, this is how the report card works. I'm not going into the details of every point because, as I said, it is available on the net. If you open it, once you have heard from me, you will be able to relate it better, because this is where you will be able to apply what you have learned. Okay, so middle stage, again, a marked difference from what was there in the previous two stages, because here the cognitive domain, the affective domain, and the psychomotor domain takes a higher leap, right? Critical thinking, logical pattern, multidisciplinary knowledge becomes much more higher. And here the children are supposed to display their cognitive, affective, and psychomotor behavior in a very strong manner, right? Now you have to also see that rest of the things remain the same, where reflection by self, peer and parent is there along with the teacher's remarks, and attendance and participation is given a lot more importance. It is not that learning is not happening, so I don't have to go to school, because there is a lot of self-learning and group learning that is involved. You cannot say that there is no work in the school that I have to do. See the growth progress, emerging, developing, achieving, and excelling. And here, in all these 4 steps, you're talking about your 3 domains, which is being considered in every subject, every step that they are looking into. Okay. Similarly, here again, credit earned is credit system is used here also. Again, here also you're talking about all those areas which have to be developed, whether it is psychomotor development, whether it is affective development, whether it is your thinking process which has to be improved. Okay. Let us see the report card. Teachers feedback, learners insight. I'm inspired by so and so because my hobbies are, my strengths are, I'm interested to learn more about. When I grow up, I want to be. Now, see, when a child writes this in 6th standard and in the 7th standard, probably he'll change his version. By the time he reaches the higher class, he will have more clarity. And as I told you, skill subjects are there with them. So their interest is also developing along with, the steps that they're taking, baby steps that they're taking with every class. Okay. My goal this year is to, I need support too. So everything is mentioned. The report card in which the child is giving his own insight is being read by the parent as well as the teacher. And together we are supposed to make sure that the challenges that he is facing is being looked into. Are we giving him the right support? Are we giving him the right kind of example to learn? Today, it is not difficult to teach children. With AI, teachers can take so many simple examples and work to make concepts easier for children, right? General information about my support system. Write about the people who help you learn, feel confident, and stay positive. They write the names of the people and they feel confident themselves. It is, see, nobody's asking who write the names of those people whom you don't like. Everything is positive about the report card. So if you like the counselor, if you write the class teacher, you like the math teacher or the physics teacher or the English teacher, you are putting it there, and that makes you more happier. This is what matters. See, interpretation of your exploring level, progressing level, and excelling level. Again, exploring when you are still in the learning stage, progressing when you are taking a step ahead and are able to do things on your own to some extent, and sometimes more than that, and excelling when you're able to use it wherever the applying the knowledge, right? So that is how you progress. See the formative assessment framework. What is the activity which was given? What is the assessment that you did? And then the rubrics are given. How much awareness level is there? How much sensitivity has the child displayed? What is the creativity level, etc. Okay. Same thing. See, learners' feedback. 3 things I learned. What did I find challenging? Action plan for the next session. Okay. Then Then you see the parents' observation, feels safe and secure at school, listens to and respect different opinions, expresses thoughts and ideas clearly. Class teachers remark strengths of the learner, areas of improvement, and action plan. So you're not just complaining. You're not just saying your child is not good at this. You're just saying that these are the areas where he can improve, and these are the action plans for that. So everything is with a suggestion. It is not that you just finished your work by writing, oh, ye nahi karta, likh ke chhod do. Let the parent manage. No, it is a complete responsibility of the teacher and the parent. Okay. Now, in the secondary level, things are much higher. Okay. Here, though we are following the same steps, the domain assessment is a little more advanced. Okay, now we will see the report card again. Here cognitive, psychomotor, and affective domains are being followed. Emerging, developing, achieving, and innovating, the levels have changed. Though the levels are expressing the same kind of things that has been done for the smaller children, but at a very, very higher level. Okay, so here you see the formative assessment framework, where you are using you're using different kinds of assessments for the children. Okay, credit system, reflections, and comprehensive report on subject mastery and skill application is done here also. See here the report card. Now the report card is very different here. Okay, this is fine. The general information is the same. Self-assessment. Circle the most appropriate option. My teacher thought my effort last year where. Now look at this. The child is trying to analyze himself and write, I will work harder on things like, based on his last year's report card or the progress card, he is making that kind of a, assessment about himself. Okay. Now see, time management. I like following a schedule. Rarely, sometimes, usually. This helps the teacher to know what kind of learning environment the child has to be given. My time habits, plans after school. See, 9th to 12th, crucial years. So they are talking about what they think they will be doing, and this is being revised every year. 9th standard, 10th standard, 11th standard, 12th standard. So they're progressing in their own thoughts also. See, overview how the assessment is happening. Teachers assessment, awareness, sensitivity, creativity, these are 3 areas they're looking into. Okay, learner reflection, peer reflection, and then the competency profile. See, in grade 9th, grade 10th, grade 11th, grade 12th, it's all compiled and kept. Okay, then the credits that they earn in language, in mathematics, in other subjects. Okay, then the teacher assessment, awareness, sensitivity, creativity, how do you assess them? And this is every subject, it is given in a separate format. So everything is in place, dear teachers. All you have to do is use it sensibly. It will take you a while to go through the report card format, and as I told you, NCERT is also helping you to learn how to fill it. Fill it yourself and see that format is also available. So beginning, exploring, mastering, beginner, progressing, proficient, emerging, developing, achieving, excelling, developing, achieving, excelling, innovating. So, from the child, from this baby that came to the school, who began his learning to become an innovator at that level, is what education is looking into. Now, as I said, look at the different tools that can be used. Okay, digital portfolios, projects. Now project is not something that you give them a topic and tell them to copy paste from the internet. That is not project anymore. Project is when you give them you give them some assignment where they do a lot of research work, do a collection of data, and fact finding. That is what the project is all about. Here they will take reviews from the teachers, peer, and also also analyze themselves. There will be a proper rubric and checklist that will be given to them, where their skills and values will also be tested. Hands-on learning is happening or not, and in the group who is doing what kind of work, and are you circulating the group what kind of work each person has to do, and is it changing every time? Like if the group stays constant, fine, but the leader is changing from A person to B person, fact finding is changing from B person to C person, are you giving equal opportunity to everybody in the group? Okay, and then the data consolidation. So old approach was, see, the old question here, define photosynthesis. Okay, and in the competency based, you have changed it to a lot of things. I'll give you one more, example in the coming slides, where the same question can be asked in a very, very nice manner. Here, it is done in a simple way where you are showing them a diagram or they're using a flow chart. But in the coming slides, I'll show you more interesting manner, in a more interesting manner. Okay. See now, instead of saying that, the child got 80 out of 100. The report card says, understands geometry well and shows leadership by helping peers solve problems. So his, marks are important, but again, his life skills are also very, very important. Evaluating a child based on their growth from April to March, beginning of the session to the end of the session, rather than just grading them on a high stress 3-hour exam day in March, the board examination, that is all. So you're not doing that. You're giving them a lot of opportunities to show your progress. Okay, instead of writing good job, you're writing, I noticed you were persistent when the experiment failed and you tried a new approach that showed great grit. This is so encouraging. When you write something like this, there's so much of encouragement that comes. Okay, and using an app where parents can see a photo of their child's physical model and read the teacher's comment about it all in real time. See, difference is this, that everything is being shared and everything is very transparent. Okay, so here cognitive, the affective and psychomotor, you're seeing the things that they are doing at different levels. Foundation level, it is basic sorting and pattern recognition. Applying multi-step logic and problem solving in the higher level. Application stage, and creating something is the mastery stage. Here, recognizing emotions, regulating and empathizing, and leading and talking about values. Psychomotor, see, small skills to bigger skills. Okay, see here, a foundation stage points to the picture that matches how you feel today. Very happy, a thoughtful face, a puzzled face. Now a child can actually try to understand his own feelings. On doing some activity, what did he feel is being reflected there and then. Okay, so this is how preparatory stage and the higher stage can look into things. Now look at this one, self-reflection. What was the most challenging part of this project and how did I overcome it? Is the self-reflection. Peer-to-peer, one thing I learned from my partner today, when you were doing the group activity, what did you learn from the other friends? Okay, and what new strengths have you noticed at the home this term? So after teaching something, is there a change in that child? Because you're giving activities based on what you have taught in the real life situations also, that will be reflected in the house. So is it helping them? Okay, so goals, competencies and outcomes. See, long-term goals is what you set in schools, and learning outcomes is the way through which you are achieving it, right? Curricular goals, broad aspirational educational visions that is being talked about by the school or by the board or by the educational department. Those are the big goals. And why, that answers the question, why do we have to do this holistic report card? There is a why, right? How do you do is the strategy that you're using, the competencies that you will be using, and the when you're talking about the way you have completed, how you have done it, and what is the result of it is where your learning outcome lies. Learning outcome is different for everybody from the goal that you set. Goal can be one goal, but outcome can be different. One child learns in a particular way, the other child learns in a different manner. So, skill set that is being used is very important here. Okay. Evidence collection can be done in different ways. Okay. So, classroom observations, anecdotal records, student conferences, when you put them in groups and tell them to, think about it and brainstorm. Interactive activities, you tell them to do presentations, portfolios that they create, journals that they write, peer reviews that they do. Okay. Then you create rubrics and checklists. Are they following what is being given to them? Okay. And project assessments based on the rubrics and checklists that are given to them. Okay. In the classroom, every time that you finish teaching, is there an exit ticket that you're generating? What is an exit ticket? You create a quiz at the end of the class, or find a way in which you can test what you have taught in the class. That is what your exit tickets talk about. Okay. And then whatever is being done, are you having a digital evidence for it, which is tangible and authentic, that the parent can also check out. Okay. AI support. So, when you use Google Forms, voice to text, way of understanding things, chat GPT, or all these things. See, I'm not against using chat GPT, but children should be taught not to copy, but to understand what they are learning from it. It is the same for the teachers also. Different kinds of templates can be created using tools, your Google Sheets or your Canva that you can check into. See, this is how. Analyze daily learning journals to detect trends in confidence, frustration, or engagement. This is your AI sentiment scans that you can do. Automated feedback draft. You use that auto check to see whether your spellings are correct, and then you see how many mistakes you are making, and can you reduce those number of mistakes that you have been making. Exit tickets through Google Forms or Microsoft Forms, or sorting, or even simple quizzes that you conduct in the classroom, and using AI tools like Quiz Cohort and many others that are available online. Okay. So now let us do this activity. Just check this. This is observation. Anya helped Rohan in his project work today in her math period and got distracted in solving her sums. Did you read the observation? Now, when you look at it, a traditional teacher will respond like this. Anya is a very helpful student who often assists her peer with project work. However, she needs to stop getting distracted during class time so she can complete her own math sums and improve her performance. This is how we would respond in a traditional manner. Now, look at your HPC response. Anya actively demonstrates leadership and collaborative skills by supporting her peers with her project work. She's encouraged to balance. Now see the change in words. She's encouraged to balance this helpfulness with maintaining focus on her own independent mathematical tasks to further enhance her academic progress. See how it is different. Here the link was with the specific activity using direct corrective language and focusing on the need for the student, what correction he has to make. Here her social contribution is validated. Her specific challenge has been identified, right? And a constructive path forward has been provided. So this is the difference. Now here another one. Look at this. We have an empathy dilemma. Now this is a question for you. A student writes a flawless definition of empathy on the paper, but actively bullies peers at recess. A very, very common thing that you may see, knows what is right and what is wrong, but what he does has nothing to do with what he has learned. The query is, what is their true competency rating? Okay, if you're talking about this particular child, what is his competency rating? Is he at beginner level, proficient level, or advanced level according to you? Wherein we talk about competency is equal to knowledge plus skill plus attitude in action. Try to answer it yourself, whether you would call this person a beginner, proficient, or advanced. What will you call this person? Just think about it. What will you call this person? Whether it is, as per you, a beginner or a proficient or an advanced. Now look at this. This is how it has to be analyzed. He is at a beginner's level. Why? Because the student possesses the knowledge. He knows what empathy means. The skill is missing because the student is failing to apply the social capability of empathy, and he also lacks the attitude in action. In action, there is no empathy that has been displayed, right? Understanding होती तो शायद action भी अगर आप डिस्प्ले करने जाते तो एम्पैथेटिक होके करते, but they are two different things. So he's at the beginner's level. Okay, check this out. Now this is one question, the same question, define photosynthesis. Okay, your task is, which real world activity below best proves a student truly understands how a plant makes food? Okay, the first question is, draw a plant using arrows to show how it drinks water, breathes air, and catches sunlight to create food. Second one is, write a mini message from a leaf's perspective, explaining how it feels when the sun comes out after a dark storm. A story of the leaf, okay? And option C is, create a recipe card for a plant listing its raw ingredients and what the final meal looks like. This is the kind of activity you are giving in the class instead of asking define photosynthesis directly. And then see, there are options here. You have to choose A, B, or C and write one word why you have chosen that. If you've chosen A, why is it that you feel that A is the best option, B is the best option, or C is the best option? It can be because it is clear, it is fun, it is practical, it is visual, it is creative, or it is simple. Since there is less time left, let me just show you how each one works. See, all of them are good. Okay, at their own place. Zero rote memorization here because you're asking them telling them to do an activity which is based on what they have learned, cannot be answered by simply copying from the textbook. And here forces students to construct original product. Writing a conversation or writing a recipe cannot be done using the textbook. You have to use your thought process also here. And a teacher can instantly give a feedback on how the child has performed. This is how. And learning can be in any way. It can be visual, it can be creative, it can be systematic. All the three questions are based on visual, creative, and systematic methods. Okay, let me just show you what makes us not follow HPC. A lot of schools still are in the process of kare ki nahi kare, kaise kare, kyo kare, because there is a high workload on everybody, whether it is teachers, whether it is the staff who is supposed to help, the ERP person, or the templates that are being used. And basically the mind shift is not there. We still wanting to judge the children and not notice their values. Okay, again nobody wants to create that many portfolios or do that kind of work. Teacher thinks मैं अपने आप अपना feedback दे दूंगी, बात खत्म, बच्चे से भी पूछो, पेरेंट से भी पूछो, उसका सेल्फ रिफ्लेक्शन भी दो, फिर उसको एनालाइज करो, कितना टाइम उस पे जाता है. This is the thought process of the teacher. Parental confusion. The parent thinks, why am I being asked the feedback? Will it affect, if I don't give a good feedback, will it affect my child's report card? And then align all these classroom activities with the competency framework which is given is tough. This is what the school thinks. Now see here, shifting from judging to noticing. Train yourself to record observations as raw facts. Judgment hota, you are a lazy kid, Rahul is lazy. Fact is, Rahul struggled to complete the writing task during the 20 minutes session. You can change your way of observing the child. Okay. Never rely on a single test score. Always cross-reference your teacher observation with peer feedback and students' own self-reflection. When you do that, you will come to know where am I missing out a point. Because even you are not a god, okay? You are also a person who's dealing with so many children. So can you not take help of all others around you to give a fair judgment for the student? So HPC is, a collaboration. So don't dictate. It is a conversation that is being held with a lot of people, and it ensures that parents feel like partners in the evaluation. The HPC is not just about changing the report card. It is about changing how we see the child. Okay. Last, I'll just give you in short points. Transition barrier to adoption. How can you adapt, HPC? First of all, change your mindset from judging to noticing. I know there is a burnout, but if you start working on it from the beginning in the format which is given, it will become easier because your observations will become stronger about a child, and then you will not need to judge the child as you used to. Okay. The logical complexities that you have been seeing will come into place once you start using students, peer, and parents for the same kind of assessment. Okay. Here we see a lot of cultural resistance because people are not used to, our generation used to get a report card which was 10 on 10, 5 on 10, 3 on 10, and good, poor, that kind of remarks. So that mindset is not changing here. Okay. The conclusion here is this, my dear teachers, celebrate the whole child. By moving beyond test scores, the HPC values a student's unique strengths across cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. That is what we are supposed to do. We are not supposed to, push them to realize that they are not good in a subject because they've scored badly. Replace subjective labels with objective longitudinal data to create a reliable roadmap for every student. And let the child know what are his strengths and what are his weaknesses. How can he convert his weaknesses to strengths? What are the strategies that he can use? Okay. Shift the focus from disconnected annual exams to multi-year cumulative story of progress. Lot of activities built one after another, and prioritize real world competencies over rote memorization to better prepare students for modern professional life. My dear teachers, HPC is not a topic which can be completed in 1.5 hours. It's a huge, huge topic. I have just tried to give you an outline of it. And as I said, it is very much available for your understanding on NCERT website. I would want you to open it and see, and let me tell you, you will start enjoying it because that is how it is built. And whatever we have missed out as children, our lifetime, what we did not get is something that we should be giving our children because they deserve a better future. They deserve a better way of, assessing them. They deserve a better way of understanding what they are good at and what they are not. All right, with this, I will stop. Thank you so much for being part of this session. And I'm just hoping that all those who have attended this session will make sure that something will change after this session. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Rekha ma'am. I think someone has messaged here in the chat
Thank you,
that
ma'am.
Thank you so much.
thank you, Avesa.
Oh, HPC again. See, there is no time
Preparatory,
to discuss it.
Basically, we share the recording in the WhatsApp group. Okay, those who have missed some parts or couldn't follow in the first place, for them, we will share the recording in the WhatsApp group so that at your convenience you can observe again. Yes, ma'am,
And
Madhavi
you
ma'am,
can
you
ask
want to?
me questions. If there is a group that is being made, you can ask questions. I will help you there.
Yes, Madhavi ma'am, you want to ask anything?
Yes, ma'am. This session is very nice to hear all those things, ma'am. Really, I watched for first 1.5 hour. Really, I so much of things will I had. I'm really very much happy about for this session, ma'am. Thank you so much for this
God
session, ma'am.
bless.
Really,
God bless.
yes, thank you, thank you.
I love the way Sharanya has written. I will definitely stop judging and start observing to them, and how I can give them guidance to improve. God bless you. And so happy, Sharanya, you are already trying to bring about change in yourself. See, these sessions are for you teachers. Shanoli ma'am is doing a wonderful job by, organizing these kind of sessions so that you are, made stronger in the way you teach in the classrooms, right?
And
So thank
Shanoli,
you
ma'am,
all.
yes,
Yes,
ma'am. Yes, Shanoli, ma'am. Really, I'm very much. These things also, I got it, ma'am. I follow also, ma'am. Really, thank you so much for this session, ma'am. Yes, thank you, ma'am. I love you so much, ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you,
See,
Shonali
ma'am.
ma'am. It was well conducted session, and when you said to ma'am that you log out and log in, it became more and more effective. And she also conducted it very nicely, very
I mean,
nicely,
she could
ma'am.
have done that, 10 minutes earlier. We would not have struggled so much.
No, Shonali ma'am is very, very this thing, and the way she said it, and you did it, ma'am, you did the justice to Sunday evening. Let it be very
I
honest.
would have felt bad if you were not able to hear me, and my effort and your 1.5 hours would have been wasted.
Like, ma'am, you were so clear and your slides were really very, very nice. Very
Thank you
nice.
so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Shonali ma'am. I'm always there. You conduct it on Saturday, Sunday, whenever. Ma'am conducts very nice session, and ma'am, it really adds to our growth. It really adds to our growth.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you all those who have joined us today. And thank you, Rekha ma'am. It was really
Pleasure.
insightful. I was also watching. So though today I joined a bit late, but the rest of the part and the recording will be shared to you all so that again and again you can revisit the session for your convenience, the parts you need to follow for your preparation of HPC, you can revisit the session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rekha ma'am. Hoping to have you for another session also.
Definitely, always. I'm there to work for the empowerment of teachers. Always available. Thank you
And
so much.
EDVISHAN is also there for the last 3-4 years. We are working regularly on Sundays. A Sunday signature workshop is happening.
Very
and
good.
To empower the teachers.
Very
And
good.
thank you
Very
all,
good.
those who have joined today. So let us conclude for tonight. And as you know, we will be sharing the feedback form in the WhatsApp group as well as the certificates. Probably by tomorrow, you will all get in the WhatsApp group. Thank you.
Thank you,
Rekha
ma'am. Good
ma'am.
night, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you
Good night.
so much.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am. Good
you.
evening, ma'am.